Desana on the 19th of October, 1979. The words of the Lord Buddha are not small or insignificant things, for they originate from the heart of the Lord Buddha that was full of marvel and wonder, surpassing all other things. If they had not been so, how then would they have been capable of uprooting and eradicating the kilesas that have been embedded within the hearts of all sentient beings, and delivering them from dukkha, then attaining to the realization of Dhamma in great numbers, right in the presence of the Lord Himself. In truth, they are very significant and vital. The Dhamma of the Lord Buddha is transcendental and wonderful Dhamma, capable of truly suppressing and eliminating the kilesas. The results gained therefrom can be gained instantaneously, right there and then. This is what the power of truth is really like. Memory has no such power. There is not a single kilesa that can be got rid of by memory. For instance, when one can recite like a parrot, Nibbanang paramang sukhang, Nibbanang paramang sunyang. Nibbana is the supreme happiness. Nibbana is the supreme emptiness. This doesn't get one to Nibbana. One who has realized Nibbana has got to Nibbana, whether he talks about Nibbana or not. For this is the genuine truth. So we must strive in our practice until we realize the truth within ourselves. Then every facet and aspect of Dhamma will be really weighty, because all of these Dhammas are truthful and are waiting for one who is imbued with the truth to compare and verify the truthfulness of both parties. As this living truth is fully represented and inscribed in the texts. But the citta of one who reads the text and memorizes it is not like the kind of citta described in the text, for it is still overshadowed by the kilesas. When he commits these Dhammas to memory, he does so under the influence of the kilesas. He doesn't fix the Dhamma in his mind with the truth, which is the genuine way of doing it. Therefore, there is stark contrast between them. It is only by the way of practicing Dhamma and the realizing of the Dhamma within one's heart that one will be able to fathom and comprehend the weight and real substance of the truth of the Lord Buddha, and realize just how supreme the Dhamma of the Lord Buddha really is. This can only be achieved and comprehended within the citta. The Dhamma arises inside the citta and nowhere else. Sati and Panya appear in the citta. Ignorance also arises within the citta. The kilesas appear in the citta. Dhamma arises in the citta. It is in the citta that we overcome and correct the kilesas. And it is in the citta that we attain to freedom. Nowhere else is the place for the overcoming and correcting of the kilesas, and the place for the attainment to freedom. The practitioner must relentlessly and ceaselessly turn round in towards the citta. He has to drive inwards, for this is the way of subduing the kilesas with the Dhamma of truth. You have to investigate everything in the entire physical universe that the citta becomes entangled with. We have to do this. We cannot afford not to do it. We have to find out the cause of the involvement. What are the things that the kilesas are involved and entangled with, and which, as a consequence of this action, bring us trouble and hardship? Sati and Panya must follow them and catch up with them. There is nothing that can escape from the truth. For this reason, the Lord said, Dukkhang Ariya Satchang. Although it is dukkha, it is a form of truth. The world has no desire for it. How was it that the Lord said, Dukkhang Ariya Satchang, Samudaya Ariya Satchang? Dukkha is a noble truth. The origin of dukkha is a noble truth. This is because they are truly so. If we do not correct and overcome the kilesas, tanha and asava, following their true and natural principle, then none of them will ever be eliminated. It is therefore necessary to correct and overcome them with the truth, which is the Magga Ariya Satchang. The path is a noble truth. Then Nirodha, the cessation of dukkha, will really appear. Thus it is called Nirodha Ariya Satchang. The cessation of dukkha is truth. It cannot be otherwise. They are all found within the citta. The citta is the vessel and the home of the kilesas, tanha and asava, the vata samsara, and every form of dukkha and torment. The citta is the storehouse of these things. It is also the citta that brings about truth and Dhamma. They arise inside the citta. Wisdom arises inside the citta. The kilesas are subdued inside the citta. One attains to freedom inside the citta. The kilesas dissolve within the citta. The transcendental marvel and wonder is the citta and Dhamma. Having arrived at that stage, this state can either be called Dhamma or the purified citta. The term citta is only used during the time that one is in possession of the khandhas, because the khandhas are samuti. And as the citta still takes up residence with these khandhas, it has to abide with the conventions of samuti, despite its preeminence. But it has to conform to the ways of samuti, the conventional ways of the world, so that it can be comprehended on the level of samuti. Once one has attained to the ultimate truth, it doesn't make any difference what label one may ascribe to it. The only problem there is with the kilesas. The kilesas are extremely tenacious. There is no other form of work that can be more arduous and toilsome as the work of overcoming, correcting, and uprooting the kilesas that are so deeply embedded within the heart. The kilesas are correspondingly infinite as the heart is infinite. They go as deep as the heart goes deep. They can equally match up with the heart. For this reason, they are capable of dominating the citta and are capable of dragging the citta to wander ceaselessly through the various realms of existence. If we wanted to display the forms of birth and the dukkha and torment that one person has gone through, there would be enough of them to fill this whole world. Should we want to compete amongst ourselves with our kilesas, tanha, asava, births and existences, and dukkha and torment, there would not be enough room for us to display them, for we have experienced them for such a very long time. All of these have been influenced by the power of the kilesas. You have to really take this to heart and really get to understand it. In overcoming and correcting the kilesas, one cannot do it superficially. If one does not really and earnestly work to get to the truth, one will never come across this truth. The kilesas are a true reality. One has to tread earnestly on the magga patipada, the path of practice, the means of subduing the kilesas. One must seriously exert oneself in the practice, so that one can get to the reality of the magga. One will then get to the reality of the kilesas, which are the rivals of the magga. One will then be able to eliminate and vanquish them in the same earth-shattering way that the Lord Buddhas and the Savakas did it. The things that they did still reverberate right on down to the present day. They are the supreme and noble people that reign over the hearts of all Buddhist followers. People of all Buddhist countries take up the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha into their hearts and give them the highest respect and veneration. How else could they become the chief attraction that pulls the heart of everyone, if their own hearts were not supreme and transcending the world? We have to make our hearts receptive and capable of accommodating them. Once our heart becomes receptive, then every aspect of their truth will steadily merge with our heart. The work of contending with the kilesas, of disciplining and mastering the kilesas, of correcting and overcoming the kilesas, is an arduous task. I can fully attest this fact without having any qualms or any misgivings. It is most difficult to discipline human beings. It is much more difficult than training and mastering any kind of animal. This is because human beings are far superior to any other animals, speaking from the Sammuti standpoint. Correspondingly, the development of human beings takes far greater effort than that of the animals. It requires a much greater degree of strength and energy, sati and panya, labor and exertion, and endurance and perseverance. Everything that must be put forth for the development and progress of our heart must be far greater in strength and intensity than that of the animals. For this reason, The disciplining and development of human beings is the most difficult and hardest thing to do. Who are these human beings? The term human being is extremely extensive and general. Speaking in this context may precipitate thoughts that can go in an unwholesome way. It may sound like one is being contemptuous of all human beings. Here, I am not referring to or speaking about all human beings, but rather this refers to what the Lord Buddha spoke about himself. This is talking about the way in which the Tathāgata had disciplined and mastered himself. In his exertion, he strived until he passed out. Is this hard and difficult or not? The training and mastering of a human being. Before he can become the Sasada of the world.